All right, here we go. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for taking this Thursday night out of your, I know, very busy week to be here with me. This is a triggering topic, to say the least. And it was an article that I wrote a couple months back that was published in Holistic Fashionista magazine. And then I was part of a workshop a couple of weeks ago and this topic came up. So I just thought it would be an important subject for us women to dive into. So thank you again for being here. So who am I? For those of you who don't know who I am Jennifer Kittredge. I am an embodiment guide. I am a writer. I am the founder of Wild Hearted Revolution. So my background is in mental health, and that really drove me to helping women. I worked in the adoption field for about 10 years, and then I went into private practice and also home health. So during that time, I worked predominantly with women, and I just saw a lot of patterns and programming that I felt were important to really dig into as women. Society has really impressed these norms and program on us as women, and I feel they've really had a detrimental impact on our true identity. So my desire is that I'm really determined to help women break free from these programs and norms by empowering them to reclaim their wild. And wild has kind of become my catchphrase, but wild is different for everybody. Okay. So wild could be you stepping into this workshop tonight. Like that could be totally out of your comfort zone. Or wild could be you naked in the woods, like grounding and being with Mother Nature. Wild could be you climbing the corporate ladder, or wild could be you saying, I've had enough of this corporate life and leaving your job and doing something completely new. So wild is different for everybody, but I feel like wild is such a great word because it's those places that we've suppressed within ourselves that I feel like there's this resurgence happening within women, and we're really stepping in to reclaim those pieces of us that we have really hidden from the world. So what I do is I help emotionally guarded women who feel closed off, emotionally exhausted, and disconnected from their spirit reclaim their feminine by healing their masculine so they can form deep and meaningful relationships and unleash their wild. So we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. It has nothing to do with gender. And most of us women, we work from our masculine. So we're really disconnected from that feminine piece of ourselves. So my desire is to balance those so that you can really live this balanced and delicious, empowered life. Okay. So that is a whole nother topic that we can get into in another workshop. So let's dive in. I will tell you this workshop might trigger you. I was in a workshop 2 weeks ago, as I said, and I got triggered. There was a problem with Zoom where women couldn't get in and they got super triggered. And I watched them just like implode and just start like attacking other women. And it was really ugly. And I was like, whoa, like we need to do better about controlling when we're triggered and finding what's underneath that trigger, because that's how we can really transform them and take control of them. So, what are triggers? So, emotional triggers are people, words, opinions, situations, or environmental situations that provoke an intense and excessive emotional reaction within us. Common emotions that we experience while being triggered include anger, rage, sadness, and fear. Virtually anything can trigger us, depending on our beliefs, values, and earlier life experiences, such as a tone of voice, a type of person, a particular viewpoint, a single word. Anything can be a trigger. This is from Loner Wolf. This is an amazing website. I love them. So it might be something that you want to write down and look up. But I want to give you an example of how a single word can be a trigger. So about a week and a half ago, I was in a training with my amazing facilitator, and she used two words that absolutely triggered me. And I'm not going to get into what the 2 words are, but she said these 2 words and I like totally bristled. I went rigid. I wanted to run. And in my, before I've done the work that I've done, I would have run. I would have been like, I'm not working with her anymore. I can't believe she used those words, blah, 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 blah. But because of where I am, I was able to get off of that call and realize that I have some deep wounds around this topic, around these words. And it's something that I need to work on. So, because of the work that I do, I was able to pull myself out. I wasn't able to, I didn't attack, I didn't blame her. I was able to say, okay, Jennifer, what is inside of you? What is happening? Why is this bothering you so much? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So, where do they come from? So, most of our triggers, not all of them, are experiences that have caused our personal triggers have happened that have caused them have happened sometime during our childhood. So, because of these early experiences and our inability to process our emotions effectively, we internalize them. We then found coping mechanisms to deal with the internalized, unprocessed emotions, leading us to an emotional trigger later in life. And I want to give you an example of something that happened with me and how it was uncovered. But first, let's move to the next slide because when you're triggered, there is something underneath that trigger. And this is a very short list of some of the things that you can be feeling when you're triggered. So when you're triggered, you're feeling rejection, you're feeling abandoned, you're feeling helpless, you're feeling like someone is avoiding you, you're feeling judged, you're feeling shame, you're being blamed for something, or maybe you're being ignored, you're feeling discounted, you're feeling controlled, you're feeling taken advantage of, you're feeling vulnerable, you lack boundaries, and you're feeling self-conscious. And as I said, this is a very short list. So I want to share something that happened with me. So I have been training with Sistership Circle for over a year now. I'm in a 6-month training with them now. But last year, when I first started training with them, I did a 12-month training. And my facilitator triggers me like no other person. And it's amazing that I'm still working with her because she triggers me, but she's amazing at what she does. And she has really helped me uncover just old wounds that I didn't even know were there. So I got triggered by her, and she was able to, now she works for Her Masculine. She's very successful, and she just speaks so well into her emotions and how she's feeling and where she's feeling it in her body. And I was just super triggered. So she was able to bring my trigger back to my childhood. Now, I was probably about 3 or 4, and my brother is, or was, he was super shy, very shy. You wouldn't know that now, but he was very shy, very self-conscious. He lacked a lot of confidence, and he was tinier, smaller. And so then here I come around, and I am this ball of energy. I am not afraid to talk to anybody. I will, go up to a stranger and talk to them. I was really loved people and was just put myself out there all the time. And that's just who I was. I was a lot of energy and a lot of light. And so he didn't like that. This is the story I had to myself, right? So I felt like I had to play small in order to make him feel better. I felt like I had to hide pieces of myself in order to make him feel better and to make him feel comfortable. So what I learned from that was, you're too much. People aren't going to like you. You better reel it in because you make people uncomfortable. And I had these stories in my head for until last year, you guys, until I was able to like get underneath it and figure out what was under there, right? And so because of those stories, because of those, limited beliefs that I had, I have been self-sabotaging myself in the area of success for years. So I would just get so successful and I'd pull myself back. You're too much. You're too much for people. They're not going to like you. You better reel it in a little bit. You better stop what you're doing. And so to make that connection and be able to release it has transformed my life. It has just opened up so much for me. hence doing this workshop, putting myself out there and being seen, because I was terrified of that, right? Don't be seen. You're too much. You're just, oh no, 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 no. And so leading circles, bringing women together and gathering women the way I do and having such a passion for that, I probably wouldn't have done that, because I would start working with women and then I would pull back. Nope, I'm not good enough. I'm too much, blah, 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 blah. So if you can get underneath what's underneath the trigger and bring it back to somewhere in your childhood, that is how you're going to transform them. So step one is to pause and identify. So in order to take control of your triggers, it's vital, you guys, to pause and identify what exactly is triggering you. So being able to pause and identify the feelings you are feeling is the first step in taking control of your triggers. So, okay, you're not going to get off of this workshop and be like, oh my God, I did this workshop with Jen. I'm healed. I got control of my triggers. No, that's not how it works. We're going to get triggered for the rest of our life. And sometimes we're going to be able to control them. And sometimes it's going to take us a little while to get there. Okay. But if you can pause when you're in the midst of being triggered and ask yourself the following questions: what am I feeling right now? What happened to make me feel this way? And I want to give you the example of that workshop that I was in. So the two women that put it together, it was for Sistership Circle, and they worked really hard on this workshop. And there were like 600 women that were registered for it. And the women that couldn't get into Zoom were just, they were really having a, they were melting down. And so then I'm like feeling mama bear over the two women that have worked so hard on this and that I love so much. And so I'm getting triggered like that. But then when I pulled myself back from it, I'm like, what is the trigger? What is happening right now? And mine has been, as I said, fear of showing up like that and being persecuted like that. You're too much. You're a fraud. Who do you think you are doing this? You messed this up. We can't get in. This is all your fault. And so being able to pull myself back and see that, I was able to step out of that trigger. Now, some of the women who finally did get into the workshop, because they've done this work, they were able to say like, hey, I was super triggered. And here's what I was feeling. I was feeling rejected. Oh, you're not allowed in. You're not part of this group. You're not good enough to get in, blah, 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 blah. And then they were able to go, okay, that's not true. What's happening is Zoom's not working. And when I get in, other women couldn't do that. They were so in their head and they were lashing out at other women. And so it's really important to get a handle on this. And as I said, it's not something that you're going to get right away, but it's something that you can be conscious of and start working on. Okay. So step two is to take ownership of your emotions. So society's programs have led us to believe that there's something wrong with expressing our emotions. And this goes for men and women. I mean, think about men. Boys don't cry. Get yourself together. Boys don't cry. You look like a girl, right? If you cry, you're weak if you cry. So this couldn't be any further from the truth, because I believe that our emotions are our guidance system. They are constantly telling us what we want and what we don't want. So instead of burying the emotions that are coming up, we really need to identify what we are feeling, right? And you need to identify them with an I feel statement or statements, and then also know where you're feeling them in your body. Because we're so in our head, we are disconnected from our body. Now, if you can connect with your body and have those I feel statements, that's your transformation. That's where you're going to realize where the energy is stuck in your body. So for me, I am always stuck in my chest and my throat. So when I'm triggered, when something's happening, I close off in these areas. Okay. And so being able to say, I feel this. So the one woman who was led into the workshop, she's like, I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like you were rejecting me, right? So I feel rejection. And this, you guys, this helps in everything, in all of your relationships, right? I wish I would have known this 25 years ago when my husband and I first got married, because I didn't know how to talk about my emotions. I didn't know how to say I was feeling. And so I had a pattern of the leaving patterns. And if you don't know the childhood learning patterns, one of them is the leaving pattern. And I was a leaver. If things got uncomfortable and I couldn't communicate, I left. I gave up friendships, I left relationships because it was uncomfortable. But now I'm in a place where I can say, this is how I feel. This is what's going on with me right now. And you open up that dialogue for such positive communication. I just opened up dialogue with my childhood best friend, and she and I haven't talked in years. And I stopped the relationship because I was feeling rejected. I was feeling abandoned. I was feeling many things. And she and I will have that conversation now that we have connected again. But 7, 8 years ago, I didn't know how to have that conversation. I didn't know how to say, this is what I'm feeling. And because of that, I left. You might have different patterns, right? And so I fixed that pattern, and I'm now staying in it and sitting with the emotion and being able to express it in a really healthy, positive way. Again, not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. So, step 3, and this is a big one, is identifying the origin. So, ask yourself where this trigger is coming from, and if possible, you want to link it to a specific experience in your past. So, this takes practice, but once you can identify the origin, you can dispel the emotional reaction to it. So, just like with my brother, right, from when I was 3 or 4, I had no idea that was there. If I didn't do this work, I would probably be self-sabotaging and, in that same story that I've been telling myself for years. I'm too much. People don't like you. You better dim your light, blah, blah, blah. And I was just in this really negative pattern. And so if you can bring it back, because most of your triggers, not all, but most have happened somewhere between 0 to 7. Okay. And then as more experiences happen in your life, you're just compounding that, initial trigger or triggers that happened in your childhood. Right. And so we kind of build upon them and build upon them because we've suppressed our emotions and we didn't know how to communicate, and energy got stuck in our body. Okay. So, in this part, when you're triggered, asking yourself the following questions: what's coming up for you? What does this remind you of? Go back as far as you can into the past. What's the story? What's the limiting belief wrapped around that story? What was said to you there? And what did you learn back then? So for me, what was coming up was, I'm not good enough. I'm too much for people. People won't like me if I shine too brightly. Right. And then what did it remind me of? We brought it all the way back to me dimming my light to make my brother feel comfortable. Right. And so the story was, in order to make people feel comfortable, I better not shine too bright. People aren't going to like you. And the limiting belief around that was, I'm too much. And so you better not be yourself because you're too much for people. And so what was said to you here? Think about it. Like my mom is, when you're little, not blaming my mother, but she'll be like, oh my gosh, don't talk so much. Oh my gosh, you're way too loud. Can you keep it down? You're too much. You're too much. So I learned I was too much. And that was the story and the limiting belief that I had. So think about this for yourself. Maybe snap a picture of this or take down some notes. But these are important questions when you're doing this type of work, because these are going to allow you to really move forward in your life in such a healthy way, communicative way, even with yourself. Okay. So steps to release the limiting belief, right? This is step 4. So when you uncover the limited belief, ask yourself the following: is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? What happens when you believe that thought? And who would you be without that thought? So let's take mine, for example. Am I too much? Is it true? I don't know. Am I? Am I too much? I might be too much for some people, but I might not be too much for other people. So can I absolutely know it's true? No. Do I shine too bright? I don't know. Maybe for some people, but maybe not for other people, right? And what happens when you believe that thought? So, what happens when I believe that thought? I self sabotage, I leave. I don't do all the things that I envision for myself because I'm afraid of being too much for people. I'm afraid to put myself out there because I'm afraid I'm going to be rejected. And this is the perpetual pattern that I have been in for most of my life. Okay. And so then who would you be without that thought? Well, who would I be without that thought? I would be this girl right here, leading this workshop, doing circles, putting myself out there, not fearing the rejection. Well, that still comes up as I shared, but being able to process myself through it so that I continue to do this work. Because my belief is with the work I do, if I can help one woman, just one, then it's all worth it. Okay. Because I honestly believe that the more of us who do this work, the more women that do this work and heal ourselves, that we are going to heal the world. And my wild hearts have heard this before, the ones who have circled with me, that is so ingrained in me because of the system that we are in right now is not working. And as we heal ourselves, more and more women are going to get healed, and that is going to heal our world. Okay. So release exercises, and these are really important, especially when you go deep into your childhood, especially when you really start getting into that nitty gritty and you're like, oh my gosh, this is really painful. This is hard. This is hard to go back to. You have to have some exercises where you can really release, right? Because as I said, energy got stuck in the body, and you need to move that energy out of the body so that you can create a clear channel. So, one of my favorite things to do is the no more or the letting go statement. Now, the no more is you're not going to use an I statement, you're going to use a you statement. So, like what was said to you way back then, and mine was, you're too much, right? You're too much. Rein it in. You're too much for people. And so this exercise would look like this. You will go outside, or you're not going to be sitting down because you need to move your body. If you're somewhere where you have a mountain or a hill, I want you to climb the hill, going up, and you're going to be saying, and you're going to be like elbowing and moving your body like, no more, you're not enough. No more, you're not enough. And you're going to do it with every limiting belief that you have, okay? Because you're moving that stuck energy in the body. You're getting it out. You're getting that admonition out from inside of you, okay? And so just, think about if you're climbing a hill and you're doing this and you're working so hard to get this out. No more, you're not enough. No more, you're not enough. You're going to be exerting all of this amazing energy out of you and getting it moving and creating that clear channel. And so when you do that, picture yourself on the hill. When you're coming down the hill, you're going to replace it with a positive affirmation. And that's when you use your I statement. That's when I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I am worthy. I can be seen. Whatever it is that your affirmation is, and you can have many of them. So if you don't like the no more statement, you can say, I am letting go of you're not enough. I am letting go of you're too much. I am letting go of whatever it is you're letting go of. Okay. So you're moving the energy in your body, you're verbally releasing the admonition, and then you're replacing it with a positive affirmation. So another thing you can do if you don't, want to do the no more statement, you can use breath and sound. This is a somatic release technique. So when you're releasing, right, it's like really using your voice. And so it's inhaling and like getting it out. It's almost like a growl. It's like this feralness from deep within your body. And so doing that, you can scream it into a pillow, right? You can hit something with a bat, and I used to take a piñata with my clients and let them beat the crap out of a piñata to get those admonitions out, to get those limiting beliefs, to get that anger, whatever's stuck in the body. Okay. Another thing is crying, burping. Believe it or not, burping is a release of energy from your body. Crying is. So get on your hands and knees and do cat cow. And when you're doing cat cow, make those noises with your body. You want to remove that energy. You want to get it unstuck out of your body. Okay. So this is a little bit of I'm going to make you guys do some work here in a minute, but so the whole point is we don't want to stay in the head. Okay. We want to embody curiosity and create space for inquiry instead of resistance. So when we stay in the head space, it's harder to feel the impact. We want to feel the impact this has had on our life. So when we drop from our head into the body, into the heart, we feel unconditionally. And sometimes it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to feel those things. It doesn't feel good to feel the tightness and the blocked here, but you got to move it. You've got to get it out from within. Okay. So step 5 is to be patient. I think my little thing is in your way. Sorry, you guys. So identifying your triggers takes time. Be sure to give yourself grace when beginning to implement this practice. You're not going to get it at first, okay? Give yourself time to move through them without any expectations. When we release the outcome, it gives us the flexibility to move through them at our own pace, right? So as you begin to notice your emotional triggers and move through them, they will no longer feel as if they have control over you. Instead, as you take back your power, you can use them to grow and expand in a more positive way. And that's the thing. It's practice. It's continuing to do this. It's, when you're triggered, it's really hard to sometimes stop yourself, right? It's hard to be like, okay, why am I, what's happening inside of me that I feel like I need to eat at midnight? What's happening inside of me that I just looked at that person and she's pissing me off, right? Like, why don't I like her? She hasn't even said a word to me, but why am I looking at her and I don't like her? People are mirroring back to you something inside of yourself. And that was a really hard thing for me to understand, because I was like, oh, like those things that you don't like in people, that's a mirror back of something that you don't like inside yourself. So you need to remember that when you're being triggered, because things are mirroring. And I think another thing that's important to remember when you're triggered is it's not the person. It has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with what's inside of you. Okay. So I am, oh, it's not gonna let me do it that way. Sorry. So here's an awesome saying. I don't know who said it. My facilitator said it the other day, and I can't remember who she said it from. So if anybody finds it, let me know. But this is not who I am. This is what I learned. And if I learned it, I can unlearn it and learn something new. And that's what this process is all about, right? It's really taking control of our emotions. It's being able to express them in a really positive, clear way without the fear of, being criticized or being rejected or any of that. And so all those things, all those patterns, all those limited beliefs that we've learned, we can unlearn them and learn something new. And this is part of that process, right? By transforming our triggers. So I want to walk you right now through a visualization exercise, and we're almost done. I want to honor your time. This is going to go about 30, 45 minutes. So I just invite you right now, wherever you are, to close your eyes, get comfortable wherever you're sitting, and start to tune into your body. Make sure your feet are connected to the ground so you can draw on the earth's wisdom during this time. Take in 3 deep breaths, and on each exhale, release any tension you may be holding within your body. So deep breath in and exhale. Another deep breath in and exhale. One more time. Deep inhale in and exhale. If you notice your thoughts popping up, let them come and go. Imagine them bobbing down a river, moving their way past you. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, relax your whole body, and be utterly present to how and what you feel. There is nowhere else you need to be other than here, right now, in this present moment. In order to move to a place of healing and forgiveness, we must first acknowledge our hurt feelings from past experiences that we may still be carrying within us. We must learn to mother our hurt little girl inside. This is true healing and how we will make the shift to healthier relationships with the men and women in our lives. This is how we feel safer at home. It's time to come home to yourself, to mother yourself, to find that safe haven within. I want you to imagine that your little girl is in front of you. She's anywhere from 2 to 7 years old. Can you see her? What's she wearing? What does her hair look like? She's sad right now. She's hurt. Her heart is heavy and broken. She feels alone, scared, and unloved. Can you invite her to come and sit with you, either in your lap or by your side? Extend your hand out to her and let her know you are safe. As she cries, be with her. Keep breathing as you hold space and just be a peaceful presence surrounding her with love. Imagine holding her, stroking her hair, caressing her cheek, whatever feels like the thing she needs. She yearns for that which will make her feel loved and cared for. What do you say to her? What does she want to say to you? Can you feel a shift in her energy? Has she relaxed? Does she feel safe? If she doesn't, ask if she needs anything else from you to feel truly safe. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to sit here with her. It's time to say goodbye. I want you to look her deep in the eyes and imagine pouring every ounce of love out of your heart and into her. Tell her, I love you so much, and I have to go now. I will be back, I promise, and I will continue to be here for you. And then say goodbye and come back into our space by opening your eyes. And I just want you to sit quietly for a minute. This is the type of work that we do in Circle, and it's important work. It's important to get to the root. It's important to heal these wounds. It's important to really reconnect with our inner child. Okay, that's where a lot of the wounding has happened. So this might have brought up a lot of emotion for you. And if it has, I want to invite you to really take some time journaling. Maybe you need a process with your partner. You can reach out to me if you need to. You can go outside and ground in your bare feet. You can run water over your hands. That's a form of grounding. You can take a bath. That's a great form of grounding. Whatever it is you feel you need right now. What I'm going to do is I am going to play a song, and this is a movement piece that we do in Circle. And this is an example of how we move energy. Okay, so wherever you are, I invite you to get up and move. I'm going to move with you. We're going to take a dance break and really move this energy, and you're going to see how you feel after you dance. So don't be afraid to dance. I can't see you. So hopefully maybe you're by yourself in a room where you can do this. So let's get to it.
You're broken down now. Living You can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. We have each other, and for that we have each other. And we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, I like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.
Okay, guys, let me get back to my presentation. I hope that movement made you just kind of shake up some energy, move it around after doing such a heavy visualization. Again, sit with it, journal, whatever you need. Reach out to me. Where you can find me is on my website, wildheartedrevolution.com. You can find me on Instagram at Jennifer_Kittredge, and you can find me email at info@wildheartedrevolution.com. I wanted to share with you some upcoming programs and events that I have. I am starting a new 12-week virtual circle program. We will meet via Zoom. It begins Tuesday, April 12th at 7 p.m. So we'll go from 7 to 9, depending on how many women. I'm only opening up to 8 spots. If you are one of my founding members from the 6-week program, this is completely different. So you wild hearts are welcome to join. So this is Unleashed, a radical reclaiming of the untamed woman. And we're really going to go deep into mother wounds. We're going to go deep into sister wounds, and we're going to really heal them. We're gonna release them. We're gonna get rid of them. And some of us have some deep mother wounds. Some of us have some pretty significant sister wounds. None of us are immune to them. I have an amazing mother and I'm super close to her. But if I look back on my past, I've got some wounding, right? I've wounded my own kids. Ugh, right? So you think about it, but we have, and it's not intentional. It's nobody's fault. It's just, in my case, it's just how it was. So I know some people have harder stories and maybe there was some intentionality, but I would love to help you through this process. So we're really going to go deep. Tomorrow, you're going to get a follow-up email with the replay and information on these programs. So if you're not quite ready to do this deep work and to really step into a 12-week program, then you can join my monthly virtual circle. This month's topic is renewal, and that will be on April 17th. That's a Thursday night at 7 p.m. And our intention is to reflect where in our lives we may wish to bring fresh energy, a renewed sense of purpose, and take action to bring our hopes, dreams, and projects to life. So it's spring, it's a time of renewal, and it's really going to be an awesome circle to do. You could do it from the comfort of your own home via Zoom. And so I hope to see some of you or all of you in one of these programs or events. So thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope that this brought some insight and maybe some tools that you could utilize to really start transforming your triggers. It is a process, but the more you work on it, the better you get at it. So thank you again. And as always, stay wild.